So I'm Gabriela Maia. I'm from UTAD, which is an university in north of Portugal, and I'm here to talk a little bit about soil and vegetation management and the effects on vine physiology and arthropod diversity. So as you can see, Douro demarcated region, which was the local of our study, is in north of Portugal and represents by that green color. Our climate is typically Mediterranean with temperate, with hot and dry summers. The vineyards are established in semi-arid climatic contexts, and normally they are steep slope vineyards. Relative to the soils are anthrosoils with high rock fragment content, low water retention capacity, and this increases the risk of soil erosion and soil loss, which is the problematic that brings me here. I bring you here a form of soil management that is cover crops. Cover crops represent the use of vegetation cover in alternative to tillage. Tillage is historical management really used in Douro demarcated regions, in our vineyards, and it's an alternative to tillage or to the use of herbicide, which is a new form of soil management, and it's being particularly relevant in the context of hillside viticulture. It represents many benefits. I'm going to enhance such of this, like reduce soil erosion and increases water filtration, increases functional biodiversity, increases conservation, biological control, increases organic matter, and increase carbon sequestration. So as you can see, and as you know, climate changes are a problematic and nowadays problematic, and with them there is an increase of the occurrence of extreme water events. Yesterday in Portugal, in Douro demarcated region, actually happens an extreme event that has already damaged some of the vineyards located there. So these extreme weather events, like long periods without rainfall that result in droughts and increase of average temperature, led to associated risks like water competition with grapevines and wildfires. This leads to farmers' fear in adopting this practice. So it is essential for us to demonstrate the positive outcome and the impact of ecosystem services while mitigating potential negative effects. Our objectives were to evaluate 3 types of soil management: tillage, mowed, and rolled soil, that were implemented in the vineyard interrow on the biodiversity and grapevine parameters like production and quality in a vineyard located in Douro demarcated region, which was called Quinta de São Luís. So relative to our material and methods, the study was from May to September 2023, and our grapevine cultivar was Sousão, that was planted in 2016 and was grafted onto that rootstock. And this is our experimental design, as I'm going to show you now. So as you can see, there's 3 types of soil management. They were implemented as randomized blocks, each with a color, a different color, to help us identify them. So each block has from 25 to 30 grapevines per line, has 6 lines, has 5 interrows, and the observations were taken in the central row. Our materials and methods were the floristic survey, that we evaluate the richness and the percentage of coverage. We use pitfall traps to evaluate the abundance and diversity of arthropods. We use bait lamina to, according to that methodology, to evaluate feeding activity and soil microfauna. We use T-bags method, according to some article that we read. We use green and rooibos type of tea, and this allows us to evaluate the decomposition rates and plant material. Then we assess the pre-dawn leaf water potential, that we use 3 leaves per repetition, and then we evaluate the grape yield and quality parameters, that we use 200 berries per repetition. To evaluate the diversity, the richness, and the 2 diversity indexes, we use this method that is called Rapid Biodiversity Assessment, RBA. As you can see in image, it organizes the groups and classify them based on similarities on morphological characteristics. So our results relative to the analysis of meteorological data shows that our study was conducted during an extremely hot and dry period. The average temperatures in August, July, August, September were those. It was an atypical year with warm and rainy winter, a very hot and dry spring, and in a hot summer with extreme weather events such as rainfall and hail, as happens yesterday. So relative to IPMA, the meteorological data shows that 2023 was the second warmest year after 2022. The annual average temperature was 16.59 above the normal value of 81 2010. The total annual precipitation was 76 millimeters below the normal value. Relative to the floristic survey, as you can see in the graphics, I cannot point, so as you can see, there is only significant difference between tillage and row in the varieties of total cover and fresh cover. Then here you have the percentage of functional groups that we organize per modality. As you can see, there's a higher percentage of omnivores in mode and tillage, and a higher of phytophagus in rows. And here you have one example of a species that we can find more regularly of each functional group. Relative to abundance and richness of arthropods, the abundance was lower in tillage modality compared to mode and road, and the richness as well was lower in tillage modality compared to mode and road. Then the results of bait lamina test strips. We couldn't find any significant differences between modalities, as you can see in the graphics. We think that it's 1 year essay, and that's why we couldn't find any difference between the modalities in the soil microfauna impacts. Relative to the T-bag index, the weight loss increases over time in both of the type of teeth. The significant difference were only could found in rooibos tea. The weight loss was higher in roll modality. Then relative to the tea type, the weight loss was lower in rooibos tea because there is a higher CN ratio, make it more resistant to the composition. We actually use this type of tea because of this, because some of them are more resistant to the composition as well as plants. It's to mimic. then the results of pre-dawn water potential shows us here you have a table that shows the average per modality. Our classification was according to that methodology. Despite of the drought and high temperatures, the use of cover crops did not induce significant differences in leaf water potential compared to tilled soils. Then, in grape yield and quality parameters, the use of cover crops did not induce significant differences in grape yield, although there are some tendencies towards higher values in the production parameters in tillage treatment. But in the quality parameters and Havash indexes, the use of both cover crops did not induce significant differences. To conclude, so the cover crops mode and role presents higher abundance and richness of soil arthropods compared to the till treatment. Under our climatic conditions, this is important to highlight because we only deal in the season of 2022-2023. The use of cover crop did not induce significant differences in pre-dawn leaf water potential or in grape yield and quality parameters when compared to tilled soils. Our results reinforce the importance of cover cropping and enhancing the functional biodiversity without compromising the grape production or quality. We think these findings are promising. However, this research should be continued, is already being continued, because it's important to evaluate the long-time impact of these practices and the soil microorganisms feeding. These type of studies are essential and they address the current challenges that affect directly the growers, our society, and may contribute to mitigating the impacts of climate changes. I would like to thank to Sojvinos, to Advid. I would like to thank to Irmelinda, to Apitad, that helped me during the digital story, to Climed-Fruit project, to Clara, to Noel, to Professor Gianni, to Francesca, that were that helping me during this process. It is a pleasure for me to come here and to meet you in face to face. And I would like to finish with this sentence that I really like. It's relative to a book that I've read this summer that says soil is Earth's ultimate frontier, and in every handful of it contains more living organisms than the number of people alive on the planet. Nevertheless, we treat soil all over the world as if it was dirt. Thank you very much.